So, test. Gotta see how loud we have to talk.
Hi, hello, welcome.
Smile like that.
It's a regular smile.
Was it?
Yes.
It's crystal clear, we've been over years, struggle straight along the way, but having you by my side makes everything okay. We're watching video clips of all types of shits, laughing out loud, we really hate this crowd, and we don't know where to go, hopefully take it slow. Lots of hustler minds will reject the decline, our approach to life and that, well that's just fine. We wanna let others live because it's none of our business, so you press your chest upon our mess. There's so many minds, hey, I'd like to unwind. See beyond this place, we want a part of this race. We do what we can, you better tough out, man. You're about to pass out or get a pick for the cloud. Why is it so hard out here? And they made it so weird. Try to stay woke and humble and joke. It's fucking hard out here.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of It's Hard Out Here. And today we have a good one, I think. I don't know, maybe. Today we're going to talk about our relationship.
Woo! Also, I'm Karina Ayala.
Oh yeah, I'm Joel Morales. But it's hard out here because humans and trying to make relationships and establish connections and working with different dynamics and personalities.
Yep, for sure.
Don't abuse each other, people. Jeez.
I know. Why is that so hard?
Because it all starts with the family, right? Like
Yeah.
everything literally starts with the family. And
Yeah.
so if there's like,
What you're born into, what you see, what you learn.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing that.
abusive behaviors in the household, pettiness, all kinds of things, we just learn it.
Yeah. Wow.
And they say it's like a lot of it's genetic too.
Oh yeah, what they
behaviors
say,
are
like
just passed
50%
on.
or some junk?
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
I just wonder how true that is sometimes. It's like,
Well, wasn't it a study?
yeah, but I mean, like, don't they have to do like some sort of study where there's a parent and a child that have been removed from each other and then see if that child ends up doing a lot of the same things the parent does, you know,
Oh yeah, huh?
to see if it's actually genetic or not? That would be a good tell, I would
That is
think.
a good one.
Yeah.
I wonder if they included that in their study.
Yeah, because if you just grow up around it, then who's to say that you just didn't learn that behavior or
Yeah.
whatever? I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, huh?
I just played one in college for a little bit.
You kind of play one now.
Nah.
You do so much. You literally work in a lab.
No, but I'm just
Excuse me.
checking. I'm grading papers.
As a scientist.
That's what I'm doing. Anyways, so yeah, our relationship. What would you like to say about our relationship? There's so much. Where to begin? Let's start from the beginning.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
So we got together on a dating app called Field.
Yeah.
And this dating app is known to be a little bit more open to polyamorous relationships, kinky folks, whether you're single or coupled. It's very queer, inclusive, and friendly. Other than that, I'm not sure what other niches it has about it.
It was so
Self-
funny. I actually saw on the Tinder Reddit, somebody made a comment. They were like, if I was just looking for sex, I would go to Field. That's what they're there for. And I was like, that is not what they're there for.
Yeah, that's interesting. 'Cause we have seen lots of people that are like, oh, don't waste my time, or need to develop a connection first. There's a lot of that.
That is like the most common thing.
Yeah, but that's like reasonable because that's what people want in relationships and like dating.
Yes.
But we're just
exactly.
jerks.
We're not that way.
I mean, we are, but we're not now.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
You know?
'Cause so we started off that way. We were definitely looking for relationships and connections and good partnerships. So you started like on the apps knowing that you were going to be polyamorous? Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about yourself. I do fine talking about myself.
Fine. So I knew that I was going to be polyamorous too, or that was my intentions whenever I was going to the dating apps. I didn't join Field until like, I don't know, I guess later in my dating game. I had been separated since like 2019, and I started with like Tinder and Bumble and stuff, and I got banned on Tinder. Bumble is the worst. And then there was an artist that I really liked that did a piece for Field, and I was like, oh, I'm going to check them out. I had known about them, but I didn't think they were really something that I'd be into. But it was great. I really liked the app to begin with, for sure. I loved your bio, of course. Super good. And my favorite part was your opening line. I think it was something like, everyone calls me a nice guy. I fucking try to be. That was really great. And he included skate dates, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
I've been told I'm a nice guy. I fucking try to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I still have a picture of that.
Okay, then so.
Yeah.
Well, so why were you into polyamory? Why were you into those types of ideas, or?
Well, I mean, I had gone into my marriage knowing that it was going to be an open marriage. Like, that was something we agreed on. But it never really happened. And so when I was more single, I guess, I was like, well, I'm still going to do that. That was what I wanted to do.
But why do those dynamics interest you?
Ooh, well, slutty. Like, I really want to have the option to be physical with anyone that I want. I mean,
Okay.
or I want the option to pursue that. I'm really flirty. I like relationships. I mean, like, growing up, I was committed to people, but I still wanted to be promiscuous. And I never lost feeling for like the people that I was with, but you know, it wasn't great what I was doing.
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit in previous episodes.
So that was kind of like when I learned about open relationships and polyamory, I was like, oh, that's probably more of what I should be doing.
Yeah, like this is a thing people do it ethically.
Yeah, not just like swinging or swapping or whatever. Yeah, but I thought I wanted like a couple different relationships. I mean, whenever we first started dating, I was like, I want, like, I was expecting to have a nesting partner that was most likely a woman or probably like a lesbian relationship. And that was going to be like my home life, I guess. I don't know. So that was interesting. Because I'd never ever had like that kind of expectation when I started dating or being married or anything like that. It wasn't until afterwards. I just thought it might be the best option.
Why? Because guys suck?
Yeah. I felt like it would be more friendly, I guess. I was thinking that I might have more autonomy or say in a relationship.
That's interesting. I think no matter what, like, because aren't women more known for being like real catty and like bitey at each other, right?
I think that's a stereotype for sure, especially like in lesbian relationships.
Right.
There's actually like a lot of abusive ones.
Yeah, no, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, abuse is just like, what do you call it? Like not transcends. It spills over into like all sorts of dynamics. It doesn't matter what kind of.
Yeah, it's not specific just to like straight relationships.
Yeah, what kind of relationship it is. Yeah, so, okay. I mean, so you just always had an interest in being promiscuous and having that availability, yeah.
Yeah, basically that. And I thought I was going to be interested in like multiple relationships. And when we first started talking, I was talking to a few people. Like, I loved the talking phase because I didn't want to just give anybody my time because it was so limited and so difficult to get that time, that I was like, well, yeah, this is great. I don't mind talking forever and then seeing who I want to hang out with. But I was sleeping with one person, not regularly, and then talking to someone regularly. I guess it would be considered dating, just we didn't see each other very much.
And these were all guys?
Yeah, actually. I didn't do well with women so far.
It's funny how, like, yeah, you'd mentioned to me you struggle with women
Yeah.
And guys are just like real easy, of course, and I think that's pretty commonly known. Like
Yeah.
it's very well known.
It's a very funny bisexual thing.
Yeah, but like you have a hard time like scooping up the gals, which I mean I can relate to, so that's understandable.
It's hard.
And like yeah, and the same would go. Like guys are easy. Like, there's no problem there. It's funny, but okay, yeah. So for me, it was a lot of the same things, I guess. I had always had this thought in the back of my head when I was a little younger, like, why can't we just like date someone, but then like still mess around with others and it not be like a big deal, like no strings attached sort of a thing. Like I'm still committed to this other person. That was just, I don't even know how I like came up with that idea. I guess because I was going through like a very hedonistic phase and sort of just like a rebellious phase of like wanting to go against the grain, you know. I didn't agree with a lot of preconditioned or common narrative type ideas or whatever, you know. So I was just like, yeah, why can't we just like be promiscuous or whatever? I don't understand the problem. That as long as everyone's like safe about it, you know, and they're respectful to one another, what's the big deal? And so I dabbled a little bit in it back in like college and a little bit after college. But of course, not having any knowledge on the topic or like the, I guess like the lifestyle as they call it, you know, it was apparent to me that like, oh yeah, like human emotions get in the way immediately. Like you do feel like jealous or like upset about certain things, you know, and it's like, okay, I get that. But I was dating someone in college where we were never really like an official thing, but we were like dating, and we didn't really like talk about what we did outside of our like relationship. But we did spend a lot of time together too, though. So I mean, there was that. But I wouldn't be surprised if I had found out like they were sleeping with other people at that time too, because they were someone that like a lot of people, especially in their like social circle, wanted to sleep with. And I was outside of that social circle. Like we had just met, you know, at the university, and these were all people that they knew from like high school, I guess. And so there was no issue there. And then we had separated, and that was like devastating for me because I was just like, you know, head over heels. For like the wrong reasons though, for sure. And then after that, I started seeing someone out in the world. I had just met like hanging out in the community. I moved out of my parents' house and like was living downtown by myself and meeting new folks and lots of people, of course, from the university too, and just like young adults that were already out in the community. And there was this girl, she was kind of a little like promiscuous as well herself, and we had talked about that too, like when we started like seeing each other, like, yeah, it's fine, you know, could leave this completely open or whatever. And there was only one night where she had actually slept with someone else, and I wasn't around. She was gone, like she was living with me at the time for a little bit, and like she was gone like all night, and I was just like, okay. The next day I was like, where were you all night? And you know, she told me that she was with this guy, and it was nice, whatever. And I was like, okay. And I didn't, like, I got upset, but I didn't, like, we didn't fight about it or anything. Kind of just like, all right, I just like bottled it up, you know, deep down inside. And then we just continued on with our lives, you know. I was like, okay. And those were the only experiences I had really had until like, fast forward, you know, I don't know, like 2015, 16 or something like that. I was living in San Marcos, and everyone was like hip to these ideas now by that point.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, just like being open or polyamorous or whatever. And I mean, San Marcos is just like a little college town. It can be a college town, and everyone's just like sleeping with each other. So these ideas were more prominent, I guess you could say, and or at least in the circles that I was hanging out in. And I was already like 27 or 28, you know, and everyone else there was like 21 or just younger, a little younger than me. And yeah, that was interesting. They didn't really get any experiences there, but it was on everyone's like mind, it seemed like. And the relationships that I did have were kind of like, yeah, we're gonna keep it a little bit, you know, open-ended, not necessarily like strictly, you know, just with each other, but nothing was ever like acted on, I don't think.
Just kind of allowed.
Yeah, one girlfriend did cheat on me though in San Marcos. That was interesting.
Did y'all discuss being open?
Yeah, well, we had discussed the ideas of it, but I don't think we hadn't decided to be open actually with that one. Yeah.
Oh,
It
dang.
was just like, okay, we're not going to do that. And it's like, all right. And yeah, I mean, like, thankfully she told me though, which was nice of her. And also the relationship wasn't like a good one either. And I think we both knew that. So that was kind of her out. She was just like, yeah.
How'd y'all end it after that?
Well, yeah, she broke up with me first. And then I found out through my roommate. We were all out at the bar, like one of the only bars. Well, there's lots of bars actually, but we were at the bar that, you know, a lot of us would go to. And he was talking to someone, my roommate was talking to someone about her. And he was saying like, oh yeah, she like took me home or whatever. And then we like made out in the car. And then she told me to get out and go home. And so I did. And then he just looks over at me and he's like, hey Joey, when did you guys break up? And I was like, just this morning. And he was like, did you just hear what he said? And I was like, yep. And he was like, oh dude, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not your fault, dude. It's all good. If you didn't know, like whatever. Like,
Oh my gosh, that's so chill.
yeah, and so I confronted her about it the next morning. And yeah, I mean, she was like torn up about it too, but I was just like, all right, well, I guess thanks for being honest with me at least, you know, because I did ask her about it and she told me and I was like, cool. And I was like, that sucks. But yeah, let's get real. Like it wasn't a good relationship anyway, so.
Oh my goodness.
And that was that. But anyways, I don't know, I'm going off on tangents. So then fast forward Austin, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah. I started actually reading up on like ethical non-monogamy and like listening to podcasts and getting all informed. And I'm like, cool, I'm ready, locked and loaded. And I'm like, I'm down with this. This is like everything that I thought it should be. And but it's like way more complicated than, you know, I ever realized, but that's okay. I'm willing to do that. And yeah, so just got on the dating apps as like polyamorous, and I wanted full blown like equal relationships, you know, where I put just as much effort and consideration and emotion into each relationship. Didn't know how many I wanted. I was down with the idea of like having like a polycule or like kitchen table poly, which is essentially like everyone's kind of like seeing everyone in that group, you know, sort of a thing, and everyone's like okay with it, like kitchen table, right? And or
They're all very familiar with each other. Not so much that they have to be like in a relationship with each other, but that they're aware of each other and they're friendly, and it's like
and everyone kind of like
the kitchen table.
and you can like all like live together too, or whatever, or just be like, you know, cordial with one another, and it's all fine, But I started dating in that world, and it was a shit show. And that's pretty typical, you know, it's standard, especially when people first get into that sort of lifestyle. It just never goes well. There's so many mistakes made, and there's a lot of abuse too that occurs too. Like
definitely.
Especially with certain dynamics with like what they call like big D little S dynamics, right? Like dominant submissive relationships. There's a lot of abuse that occurs there.
Oh gosh, there's so many.
Some people that are like that are identified as like relationship anarchists will just like be free to come and go as they please, right? But then that in turn they hurt a lot of people doing that, and they just like string people along, and you know, it's like a lot of emotional abuse.
Yeah. Girls that are like bisexual, they can only sleep with other girls because like their man's all like.
There's that,
The one penis policy.
Yeah, where like a lot of the times the guys will just be like, "Well, you can only sleep with other girls," and then the girl will be like, "Well, then you can only sleep with other guys," and then like that never happens. I mean, so we got in our relationship full blown polyamorous with those intentions, right? Like of having the possibility of several relationships, right? And you had mentioned you wanted to have a female companion. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And then, I mean, even at the start of our relationship, we were both talking and seeing other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like full on dating someone else. Another like complete relationship, like full blown relationship. It was intense. There's a lot to juggle, right? I mean, there was scheduling issues. I mean, I had to actually like make a calendar and be like, okay, this weekend I'm going with Karena. The other weekend I'm going with them. This weekend I'm going back and forth. And then
it was a lot.
if something happened like that where I needed to be somewhere, you know, I'd have to be like, oh, okay, can't go this weekend. I'm gonna have to do this thing, like, or whatever.
Yeah, that happened a couple times. Where you're like, hey, something came up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get together. Da 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 da. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it was interesting. And for me, I started realizing like, okay, this isn't like an equal distribution. Like it just didn't end up that way. It was hard to really treat it as such also, you know? And in the end, it ended up sucking because I ended up hurting somebody, and, you know, I didn't want to hurt them. So I like prolonged the I guess like torture a little bit, you know, and just putting myself through the ringer. But it's because I wanted to avoid hurting that person, and obviously that's not the right way to go about it. And
yeah, that was not great because you ended up hurting me too, and it was
it was affecting you because I was telling you one thing, which was like the truth and how I really felt, because our relationship was just going so well, and I really had fallen hard for you. We just paired up so much better, you know, and so naturally a lot of my emotion went into our relationship opposed to the other one. And I would like just tell the other person that no, this is still like an equal thing, you know, and it's, like, it's fine, everything's cool, because I did want it to work out, you know. I was really trying and just couldn't like. There's just no way you can like convince yourself, you know, that.
No. And then you also have a tendency to be very, I used to have this word.
Accommodating?
Yes. Yes. And so even if the relationship wasn't working because like y'all are two different people and it wasn't a very good match, you were still kind of like, nah, it'll be okay because they like me.
Yeah. I had a big problem when like anyone liked me, and I'm just like, okay, let's hold on to this for as long as we can, because like it doesn't happen often, and like I like either like them enough or like I really like them and I want to keep up for a little bit, you know. Yeah, and that's a problem. So I had to learn how to like manage that too. What was that like for you, going through that whole experience?
Oh God, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want to like say things to you that seem like I'm just being like some jealous person, right? But at the same time, I was like, this is not like working. It was obvious to me, I guess, that you weren't being like honest.
Yeah.
And so it was like a little bit troublesome because I was like, I really trust you, but like this isn't trustworthy. And so it's like, how am I going to work with this, I guess? Yeah. And so that was a tough time.
Yeah.
It was a really tough time.
Yeah. It was rough for sure. I remember this one specific, like, I don't remember the conversation, but I remember we were talking about the issue that was happening. And it was out in the front lawn of the house that I used to live in. And that was like super intense. And that's when I like really realized, I'm like, oh yeah, I am lying. I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to Karena. I'm like, I'm lying to the other person. Like, I need to do something about it. Yeah. That was a pretty intense moment. But yeah, then we got past that, right? And we're like, okay, now what? Before that, what happened to all your like hookups, all your connections, all your boys?
Do you remember that day?
Your cornucopia of
what were you gonna say?
Penises. I don't know. I wanted to say the other one.
It went all right.
Yeah.
I didn't have a hard time like juggling those relationships because I was the type that was like, well, you're my primary, and you know, everybody else is secondary. And I'm not trying to build like super full relationships with all of them.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted at least one full relationship that was going to be like a nesting partner. And I didn't even know that, like, you know, to begin with, it was going to be you. But I mean, like with our first date, it was so intense and so lovely. And we kind of knew like right away that it was going to be pretty serious.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We just hit it off like so well that first date. Oh my God. Let's talk about the first date. We got together for coffee at 6 p.m. in San Marcos, and then we talked, closed out the coffee shop. We moved to the bar, didn't get any drinks. We just sat in the patio, closed out the bar, went to my car. And at this point you think like, oh, someone's getting laid or something. No.
Which is usually my move. Like I would be like on you.
Right, because I'm not the type to make those sorts of moves. I never have been. I don't make the first move usually. I tried it out, you know, a little bit in my past, like to be a little bit more assertive, but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing that, especially with like being a guy and like having such a bad reputation just with that in place on its own, you know. I don't want to risk anything. I don't know. I want to be like as polite and respectful as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm getting over like a cold or something.
I was going to ask, do you want tissues? Oh, there's not down here. You're so courteous.
Oh my gosh,
So
I was getting so stuffed up. I was like, I need to clear my nose. Anyways.
I know, I could hear it. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was struggling. And I was trying not to like snort or anything. But anyways,
Okay, that's life. It's tough.
so I was like, we had hit it off so well, right? Okay, what was the last thing
In
I
the
said?
car.
We went to the car.
Yeah.
I don't make first moves. Yeah, not physical first moves at
Yeah.
least. I'll like tell someone, be like, hey, I like you.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, I even asked before we parted, like around freaking 6 a.m. The next morning. I was like, can I have a kiss? Like I asked you if I could have a kiss. I didn't just like go for it.
Oh my gosh, and it was so cute.
That was as you were getting out of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was like shocking because I was like, oh my God, of course. And it was like the best kiss. And I was losing my shit. I was like, I'm going to fuck you right now.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have been against. I'm never against like when someone like jumps my bones. I'm just like, yeah, okay, for sure. This is awesome. Like, because then like, yeah, I'm not like liable for anything, you know? Like, and I know that they wanted it. Like, I could care less if you have like consent from me or whatever. Just go for it.
Oh my gosh. But now that he's a little bit more mature, show your test results first, and then you can jump his bones.
Oh yeah, right. Well now I have to see results because there's another person involved, so I can't.
Oh really?
Like,
It's not just for yourself? You're just considering
for sure.
for me?
100%.
Oh my gosh.
I would at least use protection, sure, but even then I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I hate that.
But I mean, oh, come on. What? Why do you hate it?
Because it's like you wouldn't care if you developed something just on your own. Like
I would.
If you were single.
No, for sure I would. But I wouldn't like, in the moment, I wouldn't consider it as much as I would now that I'm with you. Because I'd be like, whoa, wait, I'm sorry, I can't just do this. Like, I have to know that you're like, okay to do these things with. But if I was single, like, I'd be like, oh yeah, for sure. I'm not going to miss up on an opportunity. Come on.
You're way more risky
Or
if you're
pass
single.
up, rather, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't have like people just throwing their genitalia at me, you know? Like, I have to like work at it. I can't just like, people don't just hook up. Well, they do just hook up with guys, but you have to be like extraordinarily attractive, or that person has to be like really into you, or
I don't know.
it's so much more complicated for dudes to like, you know, nail it
Yeah, I guess so.
to get laid.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, girls, you just got to throw yourself at somebody and it's like, okay.
Not always.
Not always, no, absolutely, you're right. I mean, I have seen like plenty of women get rejected when they're being like so too sloppy or whatever. I personally don't mind that. I'm like, all right, for sure, this is on you.
Yeah. No, not that one. Those are not real consent, right?
What do you
When
mean?
they're too sloppy, if they're too... I'm assuming you mean drunk by sloppy.
Oh, no, I just meant like just being all like
sloppy.
Lucy or whatever.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, some people find that unattractive and unappealing. And I'm like, sure, yeah, you don't want to like take them home and be like, hey, mom, you know, this is so and so. Like, no.
They're just for the streets.
Yeah. Not even the streets. I mean, they're I'd give them the decency of my bed, like
So I didn't jump your bones because we had talked about how our second date was going to be a hotel date because we wanted to see if it was going to be compatible.
Yeah, we had to
sexually and physically and stuff.
Yeah, we took it super serious.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we should see if we're going to be compatible in bed.
I love that you were just like, what do you think this would be like long term? And I was like,
Yeah.
if it works out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's a super important aspect of relationships to me is the physical aspect. I'm just like,
me too.
I need to know if like this is going to be like able to stand the test of time, because so many times I've heard like that attraction fades, and I'm like, oh, that terrifies me, So I'm like, all right, then I need to like at least know that at least the sex can be good, or like the person's attractive enough to where I can always like remind myself like, hey, this person's hot, like stop being a jerk or whatever, because you get used to the way people look a lot of the times, and you're just like, I've heard, years down the road or whatever. So I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
It's also part of why, like, I feel we should be able to sleep with other people if we find them attractive. Like, get it out of your system. Like, go, like, it's okay, because that's all it really is. Like, just go, get that out of the way, and then, like, come back, and it's fine. And, like, remember what really matters and where it really counts, and who's been there for you, who's taking care of you, who's been there in the hard times, and all that other important stuff, like...
I mean, there are some people that are doing the polyamorous style relationships that have multiple meaningful relationships, but it just wasn't for us. I didn't want to give anybody else the time.
Yeah.
Like, those people that I was seeing and sleeping with, like, it could have easily continued and been at where it was, but any free time that I had, I wanted to be spending it with you.
Yeah, that was a big one. It's just like nothing else really mattered at that point. It was just like, nah, this is cool. Like, this is enough. It's very fulfilling, I don't really need anything else. There was still always like that initial physical attraction towards others, though. That's always there. It's still to this day is there, but
and we tell each other about it like all the time.
Yeah, and it's just like a matter of acting on it, and like everything that goes into actually acting on it, it's a lot of work too, and it's just like neither of us are like really up for that at the moment, we're just kind of like, why can't it just be simple, like wham bam, thank you ma'am, quite literally, like,
and that's kind of like how our profiles are right now. We ended up setting it up to where it's like, hey, we're very primal. We're just like looking for hookups. And like, if you want to get to know us, if you want to hang out, like, we'll chat with you over text, but we're not about to like go out. Yeah,
we've had too many instances where we meet up with people and then like nothing comes of it. And we're just like, well, we just wasted time when we we much rather would have been at home by ourselves, like spending time together or, doing something else. Like, it was just kind of a waste of time, unfortunately. But we understand, like, a lot of people require that, and that's why we kind of just like, okay, well, we don't. So we don't want to waste your time, and we don't want to waste our time.
Yeah.
And
so we went to events. It's been so hard. We went to events, and we posted ads on Reddit, because
ads,
basically, personal ads. And
it's a thing that happens. I mean, I discovered that on Reddit. I'm like, oh my God, it's like Craigslist, but like evolved.
Yeah. And people can comment, you can talk to them directly, you can be messaging, you can share pictures.
Yeah.
But then even that was just like so overwhelming because there's so many time wasters.
And exhausting. Oh my God.
So many. Yeah.
Tons of messages. And like people, like you give very specific instructions, like, hey, this is what we're going to require. And then they don't do that, like, right off the bat. It's like, why are you even, like, why are we talking? Like, we already said in the post, like, we need these things. Are you these things? Show us these things.
No.
If we can't start there, then, like, I don't know where we're going to go from here. And then people get upset when you, like, reject them.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, who are you, like, to get upset about these things? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it is really strange.
It's so odd. Like, you're coming into our lives and then you're upset because we don't accept you. Like, we have every right to reject you. Like,
yeah, maybe they don't get rejected that often, and so they're like, how dare you?
Wow. I think that's
that's
giving
a
them the
guess.
benefit of the doubt. Like, I think they're just crummy people, you know, just
Probably.
immature or whatever. I don't know. But excuse me.
So our first date was great. Our first date was fantastic.
Okay, we're going back to the date. Okay, date was great. We continued dating, and then we stayed open. We did struggle with our dynamic for a while, right? Because we couldn't decide, like, are we full blown polyamorous, or are we keeping primary status for each other, or like what's the situation? There were several times when you had potential situations with guys, right? And there was something that like set me off, and I would just get like super upset about it, you know, and had to deal with that. And I mean, you were always so accommodating. Thank you so much for that. I know I've told you before, of course,
Yeah.
like, and I always feel like bad about it. Like I feel like I've prevented you from having like certain experiences, but in the end, you've told me that you didn't really care either way.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you're
There's
just
so
like, well,
much
whatever.
opportunity
Yeah.
for like those styles.
Yeah.
Like I would feel bad for a little bit because like I put in the effort, you
Yeah.
know, and then I'd be like, ugh, but then I'd be like, whatever.
Yeah, it would just like crumble just for whatever reason.
It was mostly because they were douchey.
Mostly douchey. I just hated the idea of like these douchey dudes just like with you. I'm like, why? Why would you give them that? Like, I don't know, but
They're easy.
yeah, I get it because I do the same way with women. Like, you know, if they're like
Yep.
they're like douchey, but like in the woman way, I guess. I don't know. Just like. I'm like, well, yeah, what's the big deal? I don't get it. Like, I don't care about them, like, whatever,
Yeah.
you know? But the same way, you're just like, why would you do that with them, you know? So I get it, yeah, it's weird. But you've had a couple of things that actually followed through, right? Well, just one, maybe. The one where I was out of town. and I
Oh
was coming
yeah.
back.
That
That
one
one.
wasn't good though.
Yeah.
Ended up not working out so well.
It didn't. It was bad timing. Like, and I wasn't feeling good at the time because I was coming back into town from like going to a funeral, right? Yeah. And like knowing that you were out there with this dude, and like while I was literally on the road back, like 8-hour drive. And that's like all I could, that's all, I was just like stuck with myself and my
know.
thoughts, and I had nowhere to go, nowhere to, like, I was just trying to get home.
Yeah, there was a little bit of like pushback on that too. You were kind of like, no, it's fine, and then it was like, no, it's not really fine, or something.
Yeah.
Like it was really tough.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. 'Cause
It's
I was
okay.
going through a lot. I was like,
No, it was not a good plan,
yeah,
you know. So
bad timing, super bad timing.
you got to know when to just like move on with stuff.
That's another thing that, yeah, we've had to learn is like timing is also key. Like you can't just be as like free as you might want to be. And that's like the whole ethical approach to it is like you have to consider these things. You know, you always have to consider the other person and how they might be feeling. And you're totally in your right to like not consider the other person. That's your, you know, your life if you want to live that way. But it's just it's a shitty way to be.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's the thing about like morals. They're so funny. Like when people claim like moral absolutism, it's just like, well, you can be shitty if you want. You know, there's just consequences. You know, that's the only thing.
It's on the other person to deal with however you made them feel.
Yeah, to a certain extent for sure. Yeah, it's on them to deal with their emotions, but at the same time, it's like, well, you could also just like not be a jerk about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but.
It's all in how your relationship dynamic
It
is.
depends,
so.
yeah. It really depends on how you feel and what you're okay with. Really, it always comes down to like individual preference, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, whatever.
So with like all these experiences, we just realized that we were more monogamish than anything.
Yeah, yeah, and we went through all these different attempts to try to meet up with other people. We had one
Oh,
couple that was
gosh.
like amazing. They were so great and wanted the same things that we wanted.
Like to a T. Like it was surprisingly
It was wonderful. They were queer,
nice.
and it was just like.
both bi. Both parties were
Which is
bi.
rare. Because
Very
usually,
rare.
a lot of times it's
just
just the guy is straight, but the woman's bi, you
Yeah,
know? So,
That's
whatever
the
that
most
means.
common thing.
Or my favorite ones are the heteroflexible ones.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It means you can go down on yourself. You're that flexible. But you're still straight. It's not gay if it's yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that term. I think, and I was just like, how much I can't.
You don't really
stand
see it too much anymore. I don't think. Yeah, but that was funny. It's like, what does that mean?
Field all the time.
You're just bi, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you just accept it.
No, they're not though.
You're
It just,
bi.
you know what it means? It just means that they'll be in the same room as another guy.
Yeah, they don't mind. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, it's okay if our balls touch a little.
Yeah, well, but even for like women too. Like, I've seen some women like hetero-flexible too. It's just like, okay.
They might make out. That's about it.
It's
They're
like, all
don't
right.
touch me anywhere else.
That's still like in the bi territory. Like, I don't understand.
Bi-curious.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, it's not. They don't find that attractive. That's not something that they're interested in. So that's why they say hetero-flexible. I think. I don't know.
Well, like for me, right? I'm not particularly attracted to guys, but I have no issues like being with a dude. There are certain aspects of the human body that I'm just like attracted to, and I'm like okay with being in a sexual way. But like I couldn't see myself like dating a guy like on an emotional level, you know. That to me that's still kind of like, it's weird for me. Like I just couldn't see myself doing that. I would just be like, I wouldn't know what to do with that.
Right.
You know, it would be awkward for me. It feels uncomfortable. So I know like that about myself. Like I know it's that I'm not like gay, right?
Right.
And I'm obviously way more attracted to women, and I can be like in full-fledged relationships with women, but also just be like sexual with them too at the same time. You know, it doesn't have to be a full-fledged relationship.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think that still falls into like bisexuality.
Yeah, I don't know what else. I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm bi. But then it also like spills over to like trans folks too, you know? Like I'm not necessarily attracted to female to male trans people, but I think I could be given the right aesthetics, you know?
Yeah, whatever you find attractive.
Exactly.
Your
yeah.
preferences.
It just comes down to like what like the physical appearance of the person, like am I attracted to it or not, you know? That's all it really comes down to. I don't know. So I guess in that sense, I'm pansexual. I don't know.
I don't know, because I feel like those are sort of interchangeable, but I hear all the time like hearts not parts for pansexuals, and that doesn't always track for me.
Hearts not parts? Okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, I'm not pansexual. I'm all about parts.
Yeah, I don't know if that's completely like the definition or like more accepted. I just have heard that often, so that's why I don't go that way. Because every once in a while, I prefer something else over something else.
Right.
And it's just in my moods and the season and whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm attracted to at that moment. So I've always just been like, I'm bisexual because, I mean, it still encompasses the whole spectrum. You know, I'm not saying that I don't specifically want a certain gender or sex.
Yeah.
I just have preferences from time to time.
Yeah. It's funny. I think there is like an idea out there that suggests that guys would literally just sleep with anything, honestly, you know? And I think that's probably true for most men.
Maybe.
Like, just like, what does it matter, dude? Just like freaking accept it. I don't know. Just stop lying to yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I mean,
dark enough.
because, you know, like guys are known for being like horn dogs or whatever. And, but it's funny because so many women are too. They're just not like open about it. And,
They are.
yeah.
They are with their friends.
Right. Yeah. And I recently heard on another podcast how it's funny, like guys don't really talk about like sleeping
what you're
with
talking about.
people. They don't with each other. Like we're just like, oh dude, yeah, I totally like smashed. Some guys, sure, maybe. Like maybe when you're in like high school or never grew out of that. Like that jockey high school, you know, archetype or whatever. But me and my friends were never like that. Like it was like, yeah, like, oh, I totally slept with her, and like, oh, I went like down or whatever. We never got like specific or details or anything, you know. It wasn't like at the forefront of conversation ever. And I've heard like women talk about that stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, from high school on, I will be very explicit with people. It doesn't even matter who I'm talking to.
It's so
like,
crazy.
yeah, this is what we did, and this is that. And they're like, oh my gosh, oh, I've tried that.
Yeah, or like that scene in what was it? The movie with Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen, Knocked Up.
Yeah.
Where Paul Rudd and that woman, I forget her name. I always forget her name. That actress. She
Is it
she always plays the crazy white lady.
is it Judd Apatow's wife?
I don't know who that is.
He's the director of all those.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think that's.
The curly hair, really skinny.
She plays the sister of like.
I don't remember that well.
No, it wasn't Knocked Up. They're all in like so many movies together.
Is she the one? This is 40 with she's
yes,
Paul
that
Rudd's
one,
wife.
that chick.
Yeah, that's Judd Apatow's wife.
Okay, what's her name?
I don't know her name.
Christina.
Is it
Christine Applegate? Christine? No, am I making that up?
No, it's not. That's
Apatow? Applegate?
Apatow.
I don't know these people's names. So.
I just happen to know some of these names. I don't know her name.
Anyways, there's a scene where her and Paul Rudd are in the car together and they're driving somewhere, and she's like on the phone with her girlfriends, and they're like, "Oh my God, like the time in the hot tub in Hawaii or whatever," and then he's just like, "You told them about that?" And she's like, "Yeah, sorry." You know, it's just like, yeah, girls tell each other everything,
Yeah.
like. And guys don't really do that. But yeah, guys are like well known for being like the sluttier, hornier ones, and then it's like, oh no, dude.
But they don't talk about that.
Girls are also.
Because I bet their conquering is not as dynamic as they want it to be, so like they don't talk about it. That's
Maybe.
a stretch, I don't know.
Oh, sorry if I yelled into that. Yeah, maybe because a lot of times like guys will just sleep with, you know, whoever too, you know.
Well, didn't you talk to some of your friends about like the beginnings of our relationship and like the kinkier stuff that we got into? I remember you told Omar about using the skateboard that was decoration, and he was like, "Oh, come on."
Oh yeah, the skateboard I have up on my wall. Yeah. I'm the only one in our friends groups that's like that. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm usually the one that like brings it up or like asks about it because I'm just like, I don't know, I've become more openly, you know, I don't know. I've just become more open about those things.
Yeah.
And been more honest about it with myself too, because I hate like, you know, just like restricting myself or like keeping things bottled up or whatever. It just feels so much better just to like let it go. Especially like growing up in the church and like always having that like Christian shame or whatever, and like, you know, having thoughts or whatever and being told that that's not okay to think and that's not okay to act that way, and you know, and stuff like that. I'm just like, whatever, like I'm over it, dude. I just want to be free, man. Like,
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I totally.
make a little adjustment.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so, wow, I think we
we
veered
went
off
on
a
a
little bit.
date.
No, we're past that.
No, we didn't talk about how it was devastating that we broke up.
Oh, that date, the couple date. Yes,
Yeah,
okay. I
that's
thought
the one we were
you were
talking
going
about.
back to our first date. I was like, dude, we're way past that. Okay. So we went on the date. This couple was awesome. Turns out that they have a disease. One of them had a disease that they didn't disclose immediately, and we're just like, that sucks.
It was really heartbreaking.
But the date itself went so well, we kind of just like breezed past it because they were like, you know, we have it under control. It hasn't transmitted to the other person. Yada yada yada.
Yep.
Yiddish. It's like, okay, cool. We were heartbroken. We come home. We're like, yeah, we can't risk it. And they're like, you know what? Let's find out how risky it is.
Yeah.
So we got online.
Did some studying.
Started searching. It's like, okay, no matter what, there's a risk. Like, we just can't avoid it. So we had to break up with them.
Yeah. It was so sad. I was literally devastated. Like I was like, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah.
They were literally perfect. They are perfect, you know, and no shame, obviously, and they are free to do everything that they want to do, but it just wasn't for us. Like, and that sucked.
It sucked.
We wanted it to be. Like,
Definitely.
we tried. We were like, well, maybe we can figure it out.
But we recently found out that they broke up because Field, they get back on that app and like you see their profiles, and now they're like separated. They're not together anymore. And
They're
it's
not
like,
together anymore.
So.
So,
Just saying.
if you ever see this,
We still think about you.
we may send you a text.
Oh yeah, that's right, because we still have their numbers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, what do you guys think? Is that weird?
Should we do that?
If we want to reach out to the person that wasn't with the disease?
Is that risky? Because,
Anyways.
like, what if it hasn't popped up on them yet?
So, yeah, that's another possibility. I'm sure they still get tested regularly, though,
Yeah.
just to make sure.
It seemed like it. Oh, but what was even more funny is that after that date and after we had said, you know, this isn't for us,
Oh, yeah.
they still matched with us. Like, they had created another profile and then they
Yeah.
matched with us again.
The person without the disease. And we
Yeah.
thought, that's weird. Do they not remember us?
Yeah, because our date was like, you know, a couple hours.
But-
and we were so very excited, and everything was great.
But now we know that, oh, it's probably because they separated.
Yeah.
But we had no idea of knowing.
Yeah. At the time, I thought their profile still had.
Ah, yeah. No, it was still connected. Their profiles
Right?
were still
I thought
connected.
so.
Okay, so maybe that's not. Yeah,
I
maybe they
didn't
did just
understand.
forget. Like, how?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways.
Or maybe she was plotting. Damn it.
Yeah, you're bad at that. So, anyways, moving on. That didn't work out, and we've had several other
Yes.
bad experiences. A couple from San
Oh,
Antonio
many
was like,
times.
we're coming into town, we'll meet you at our hotel. Cool. They're like, oh,
That
we're gonna
one
go
was
to the
so
club
funny.
first, the swingers club. It's like, cool, we're not gonna do that. We just wanna like have this hookup and
Yeah,
like
just
be
let
done
us
with
know
our
when
night.
you're done, and
Yeah.
we'll meet you at your hotel and have a good time and be on our way.
But they stayed at the club and they were like texting us like, don't worry guys, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. We're still down. Then they sent us a picture of themselves before they went out for that night.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 years apart from
Yeah.
the pictures that they had on their profile. We're just like, what the
pictures
hell?
that they send us on Reddit were like from the freaking 90s. Like it was like after we went back and we're like, wait a second, these look different. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
They were obviously younger when they took those other pictures and just like, whatever, like we're already here, like let's just go. Well, I mean, I had no problem with them
Yeah.
as they were now.
It was fine.
So that's fine for me, like whatever.
I was already committed. I was like, I want this to happen still. So like whatever.
Yeah, they were attractive enough in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
the guy was straight, right? He wasn't
think so.
open to
I
any
don't
like
think so, yeah.
bisexual
'Cause that's
interaction.
most
So
of the time what we get.
so I was fine with that because I was like, yeah, you're gross anyways. I don't want to.
I'll deal with that one.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah. So that was funny. And talking about like catfishing.
I knew it.
When we first met up, she had this like really nice picture of herself, the only picture on her profile.
I only
She
had
looked
one picture.
so pretty, like really long hair, and it was like curly down at the bottom because apparently she had just let it down because it had been up all day.
Yeah, I had
she had
super
like
duper long hair.
done
and
herself
I always
up.
wore it in a bun. I did my makeup
a super
full
cute
face.
picture where she's just
Yeah.
looking into the camera like this with her hand up here ever so gently, and I was surprised that she even liked me because I was like, wow, you must get a lot of attention. Like, I'm surprised that you're talking to
Which
me.
I do.
Which you do. And then
I am
show
so
up.
photogenic. I'm sorry.
and then so you show up for our date and like you have a fucking like one of those stupid bucket hats
hats.
and like you have a like neon green sweater tied around your waist with like a no,
no,
was
it's
the sweater.
neon
The sweater
green.
wasn't green. Yeah,
No, it was
the,
pink.
It was the neon green like baseball tee.
Yeah.
and then like
my
some
favorite.
ripped like bell bottom jeans.
Yeah.
and I was like, what?
I was in total tomboy mode.
Yeah.
And my picture was like,
Feminine as fuck.
yeah, it was.
And like so. And you have a face mask on because it's like
Yeah,
COVID times, so I can only see like this much of your face.
And I'm so
You're pale because you haven't seen sunlight in like 13 years because you were in an
Yeah.
abusive relationship and they just kept you indoors all the time.
Yeah.
And then you have like these really wild. I mean, your eyes, you know, you have big
They're
eyes,
super
and so you're
huge.
just like all bug-eyed and just like this pale
I was so
strip
excited.
of bug eyes. I'm like, what is this creature walking up to me right now?
So that day, the only reason I was wearing that bucket hat is because I didn't have time to get ready. I couldn't shower because of that abusive situation. I had no ability to even get ready. I was like, amazing that I even had makeup on.
And I was like, who's this gay dude walking towards me right now?
And the best part was that like we both thought each other was just kind of like gay, and that
I
like,
know,
we might
yeah.
just be buddies.
I get that so much. People are just like, you're not gay? And I'm like, nah, not really. Like, back in the
a
day,
little.
especially when people would be like, you're not gay? I'm like, no, I'm straight. Like, what the hell? Like, I get it. I'm a little like flamboyant, whatever. It doesn't mean I'm gay. Jesus Christ. Like, even the girl that I was dating in college, she's like, you sure you're not gay, dude? And I'm like, yeah, Jesus. Like, just because I'm nice and like flamboyant, like I'm gay? Fuck.
Yep.
So yeah, I got that a lot. I'm used to that now. I'm just like, no, I'm not gay. I'm like flexible.
No, but then I showed, like, when he ended up telling me about, like, that I catfished him, which is fair, totally fair. But I showed that picture to people, and I was like, do I look like this or not? And they're like, yeah, that's...
Yeah, but they didn't see you in the freaking outfit that you pull up. Like, wow, did you just get off of like T-ball practice, Jimmy? Like, what the-
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, since I'm such a nice guy,
But he tolerated me. He was
I was
like,
like,
oh,
well,
she's
we're
kinda
gonna do
cool.
this. Yeah, we have to find out, you know.
What was the?
And I like tomboys. I do. I think they're cute as all, you know, as ever. But yeah, that was different. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And you were like so feminine in the picture, and like now you're just like a boy. What's going on?
Well, you should have expected that because we did talk about it in our messages.
That's
like,
true. That's oh, and you know what? That's probably that probably went through my head too. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously we've both been told we're like androgynous or whatever,
Yeah.
so that there's fine, everything's fine here. It's okay. Yeah.
The motto for that first date was, "We're gonna fuck around and find out."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I had just discovered that saying, so I was like all about it. Okay.
Yeah,
and I was
I
like,
know.
hey, this is cool. I like this. I like this.
And it was already my favorite saying, so I was like,
Okay,
"This is
yeah.
adorable."
So, anyways, we'll fast forward back. We've gone through the relationship already. We've met some couples. Excuse me, things aren't working out.
Yeah, so like dating now as a couple and like our specific situation of where like we just want to use people, it's like it's not really well accepted.
Well, yeah, we want to use people, but also like be used. And it's not that we're opposed to like making friends. It's just it doesn't usually work out for us.
We don't get along with a lot of people. We're very
Excuse me.
specific.
It's not that we don't get
Particular?
along. We get along with people just fine.
Yeah, that's true.
But to get along to the extent of like really including you in our lives
Yeah,
and
like
like
creating
putting
a
time away
relationship.
for you and things like that, that's a different story.
Yeah.
We're way more particular when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
We can like, we don't like, I don't know,
Excuse me.
I can't see us like going out with like a group of people we've just met to try to like establish some sort of relationship or friendship or whatever, you know, that to me doesn't seem likely.
Yeah.
It seems more like, hey, if we have like for instance, jujitsu, right? Like we have that common interest. It's like, we'll see you at jujitsu and we'll like hang out at jujitsu. If we start to like really get along at jujitsu and we're like, you know, just joking back and forth and we like have all this other stuff in common, sure, yeah, like, hey, yeah, let's go hang out. Let's go do something outside of jujitsu. But before that, anything before that, I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll see you next class,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever.
And which has worked out really well. Like we make good connections. We're having a good time.
Yeah, we've made some like acquaintances through jujitsu that we like will message on Instagram. You know, we like
Yeah, exactly.
we like each other's
Share
stuff
our
back and
things,
forth.
yeah,
You know, joke and it's
Laugh,
good. It's fun.
play.
Like yeah, nothing wrong. We're not against making friends. It's
Yeah,
just
no.
kind of like it's a little, I guess, rare to make like full-fledged friends. You know,
Yeah, exactly. And I remember seeing something in jiu-jitsu that was like, if you don't have like super close friendships within a year of you being at the gym, like that's not the right place for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I see other people doing that, but we're so judgy. It's like,
Well, not judgy. I just think we just have preferences or like
and we really stick to ourselves.
yeah, we're very very much stick
And
to
we have
ourselves.
no time.
We do have very particular like beliefs too about certain things that most people just would not agree with, and I don't know
Yeah.
if like I don't know how well that works out in the real world where like you disagree on something and you can still be like friends,
Yeah.
you know? Because there are things that I disagree with there are things that I disagree with my friends on, but we've been friends for so long and that relationship just runs super deep. It's like that doesn't really matter to us.
Right.
You know?
It doesn't cause a conflict in your relationships.
Right. Like let's say like their belief in God or their belief in astrology or whatever else, you know, like I don't have those beliefs. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect our relationships.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's not, and it's not their personality either. It's not what I like about them. I just know
Yeah.
that they're good people. And if I meet other people that I know that I find out to be are good people, that I find to be good people, great. Like I don't care what your beliefs are at that point.
Yeah.
Unless your beliefs are like specifically to like harm others or like
Yeah.
you know,
mean,
discriminate or whatever.
I'm barely on that track. I was so hard on my stances, like so many of my beliefs,
Yeah.
I guess, that I'd be like, I don't even want to interact with people that think differently than I am on like certain things.
So in that regard, it makes it harder for you to even interact with people now because a lot of that still lingers.
yeah,
Right.
and so
Like,
that's a challenge that I'm like trying to change.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm trying to be my full self. You know, I don't want to compromise on who I am anymore. But then at the same time, I don't want to be like a jerk to people because I'm
Right.
like, I don't agree with you, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel fake sometimes.
Yeah. 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 See, and the way that I like play that off for myself, at least, is like, I don't want to be fake, so I'm not going to be fake. I just look at it as like I'm being polite.
Oh, okay.
That's it. You know, it's like I don't have to harp on this idea if I disagree with what they just said or whatever. It's like, okay, cool. I just like let it go. Move on, you know, talk about something else.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That makes sense.
Don't have to like linger on it and just be like, what? How could you believe that? Like, haven't you ever considered this or, you know, whatever? Like, yeah, I just like let it go. It's totally fine.
Yeah, for
Sorry, I
sure.
have to, timer went off.
Okay, cool.
You know, just like no need to get caught up on those things.
Yeah.
Because if that could prevent you from finding out like decent things about each other,
Yeah.
you know, and you can like respect each other as human beings,
Yeah.
and maybe develop an actual friendship or relationship or whatever the case.
Which I'm
you know?
super open to.
Yeah.
I think I've even tried with like some matches that I've had and like tried to create a friendship.
Oh,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
It just doesn't go
Oh,
anywhere.
right. Yeah, because some of those things they're hard because a lot of people are really extreme out there
Yeah.
in their beliefs, you know.
Especially like because typically we're more leftist.
Yeah, left leaning for sure.
Yeah. And so like even on both sides, it's like so extreme, and I don't know, it's just like pushing your beliefs, and it's like I don't want to offend you
Yeah.
by not being that, and you're going to be offended by me being myself.
Yeah.
So
Right,
it's like-
exactly. Yeah, and then I hate it when like they how do I say this? I hate it when they say things like, oh, you're just like a spineless like centrist or something like that. It's like, no, actually I'm practicing my autonomy.
Yeah.
Which is like the core principle of my beliefs. So I don't know what you're getting off of, fascist.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And,
That's a really
that a
good
lot of the times that comes from the left. They're like, oh, you're a spineless centrist, or you have no integrity or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah,
actually, no, I have a
no,
lot of
it's
integrity.
pretty
You're the one that's
strong.
trying to impose your beliefs
Yeah.
on me.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, and I was one of them. Anybody that watches this that has seen me on social media knows that that's where I come from, that
Yeah.
I was that asshole.
Yeah.
And that is exactly who I was.
Yeah, I was for a little bit too, I think, especially with like the religious stuff and like, I don't know, maybe like a little bit of the environmentalism stuff too. But in the end, I was just like, man, I'm not going to tell people how to live. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
Like,
what it came down
I don't
to.
care anymore,
I
honestly.
converted one vegan. I made one person vegan. Sorry about that.
I don't know. But we had one success, right, with a person.
Yeah, because they
That
were
was fine.
honest. They were
honest,
open.
forward.
So much communication, and it was just like super understanding of what our dynamic was like. And that was like their whole message. They were like, hey, I know that you're doing this and you're looking for this, and I want to facilitate that, and I respect your boundaries and what y'all are looking for.
Yeah.
We were like, whoa.
Plus, it'd be cool to have a three-way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're all in it for. Like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's do
It
a
was
group
so
thing.
much fun.
Yeah.
They were like, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Everything was respectful, like completely, like just everything that we wanted. It was so nice
There
and
literally
refreshing.
wasn't a problem at all.
No problems, zero problems. It's like, okay, cool. Like, what aren't you open to? Not really. There's nothing really closed off to you. If you want to do anything like really crazy and outlandish, just ask before. You know,
Yeah.
don't just like jump the gun. Like, cool, yeah, that's fine. Like, that seems reasonable, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Like, you know, is there anything that you want to do that we might not be, you know, okay with? Like, you should tell us now, or if not, that's cool. Like, whatever, you know. Maybe we are open to it. I don't know. It's all about communication. Just like in any other relationship, like it's just communicate, transparency, and honesty.
Yeah.
Those are like the core principles of like polyamory, but those are the core principles of like any relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Ethical polyamory, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so funny to even say that.
You don't have to be ethical about it.
Well, it's weird because it's like, why is that even like a word with that dynamic? Like, why isn't it's ethical
it's
monogamy?
Because it's non-conventional.
Yeah.
Like, monogamy is the convention. And so you're expected to be honest and transparent and what's the word, like committed to that one person. You
Yeah.
don't cheat on them or anything like that, right? So it doesn't need the pretense of being ethical or not.
Yeah.
Which is which is fine. That's like most things in our society that we agree to, you know, like the gender binary, for instance, you know, it's like, you don't need it to be like considered the norm or not the norm. It just is the norm, you know? So it doesn't need supplemental consideration.
But so much monogamy is not even ethical. Like there's the stereotypical talkings of like husband and wife hating each other or like not being honest with each other.
Oh yeah, and it's just like
hiding things
so
from each other.
accepted.
Yeah.
Like oh, get married. Like don't do it. Don't do it. Like the guys, like you know, most men are like, don't do it. It's a trap. It's like Jesus. Like why would you do that? She's right there.
And now on the flip side of it, as people are talking like about how nobody's getting married anymore and like relationships aren't strong and nobody's loyal.
Now they've destroyed the nuclear family and whatever. And it's like and
all these heathens.
Yeah. It's like,
But y'all did it to yourselves.
Not even that. It's just like people are terrible, and that's the core problem of it. People are just terrible creatures, and it doesn't matter if you're monogamous or non-monogamous. Sorry, something was shaking back there. It really threw me off.
I know, like,
but yeah, people are just terrible to each other. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't matter how you live your life, really. Like you can just be a good person and still do things that aren't necessarily like conventionally considered good to do. There are like good ways to go about it, you know? There are consensual ways to go about it. There are informed ways to go about it. There are mature ways to handle it.
Yeah.
Like, it blows my mind that people just get so caught up in their way of thinking, you know?
yeah.
And I'm open to it. Like you can argue that I'm caught up in my way of thinking too, sure, but I'm always open to like new ideas and suggestions. I'm like, no, that makes sense. Or I might even just go as far as to say, well, that makes sense for you. Like, that's fine. Go ahead and live your life that way. Like, I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But it's the people that think that they're in the right so hard, and they try to impose those on other people. They try to impose those ideas on other people, and that's where I have a problem.
Is that the difference between like an open mind and a closed mind?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I would think, you know. I don't know. I'd have to probably sit and think about that, but like. That's what it seems like on the surface level, you know, like these people who are like, I'm sorry. It's just a lot of the times it's like conservative, religious, right-wing folks that I don't have an issue with you fundamentally. It's just sometimes there are people out there just like, well, you're destroying the family unit. It causes so much trauma and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, normal relationships cause trauma all the time. Like, and people are destroying their lives all the time. They're treating each other terribly in those relationships all the time. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah,
like,
even super religious people, super conservative people.
And people can be in like queer families or like non-monogamous families, and like as long as you're surrounded by good people with good values on how to treat each other and how to be a good person, it usually ends up fine. And I would argue, like, even in monogamous conventional relationships, people that are raised in that household still end up being terrible people too. They end up being criminals, they end up being drug addicts, they end up being whatever the case. Like it's not the gay families that are creating these criminals or these terrible people. It's not the non-monogamous people that are creating these individuals. Like it's just anyone who's anyone. It's just terrible people creating terrible people.
Yeah.
Or you can be like the best parents, you can be the best family, but at the end of the day, that person who was raised in that is going to make their own decisions, and they're going to do what they want to do. They're going to act how they want to act, regardless of how they were raised. They could still end up being a terrible person. They could still end up being a troubled person. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are so many working factors. Just to pinpoint it on one thing is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can try to mitigate it, and that's great. That's fine. But like, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with being non-monogamous. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with being a slut, promiscuous. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with being, you know, it's the way you go about it. That's the problem.
How you treat others.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
The sole issue of the matter. And it all comes down to that individual. And I don't understand why people can't see that.
It's scary. It's different.
Yeah, it's a threat to their way of life.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, there's nothing, they're not bothering you, dude. Like, go live your life.
Until they get swooped up, until their wife gets taken by some hot lesbian that's trying to change their ways.
I mean, there's so many things working there though, right? Like you could say like, well, the wife could have easily just said no. Like there, you're done, right? What's the problem there? The wife doesn't have to give in, or like the husband doesn't have to give in to those temptations.
No, but it's the devil that's coming in and messing with it.
Still, it doesn't matter. It comes down to the individual's responsibility to say no. Where's the problem?
The devil.
Like, oh, but you shouldn't be pushing.
Devil's
Yeah,
the
okay,
devil.
I agree. You should not be pushing your way of life on others, and that is wrong for that person. Knowing that the other person is married and trying to hook up with them or whatever the case, that is wrong. I would agree, 100%. But if everyone consents to it, then what's the problem?
Yeah, true.
If they're like, no, I'm married, my husband says it's fine. Okay, cool. Can I talk to your husband and make sure it's okay? Like that one woman,
Yes,
remember?
I
She was
immediately
like,
thought
you
of
want to
that.
come over? And I'm like, well, why? She's like, my husband's not here. And I'm like, okay, let me ask my girlfriend if it's okay if I go do that. And she's like, okay. And I was like, you want to ask your husband if it's cool? And she's like, no, he doesn't have to know about it. And I was like, nah, I'm not getting into that territory. Nope, not
It's so
doing that.
dangerous.
Yeah,
You're going to go to her place.
Yeah.
What if he shows up?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I was tempted to. Not gonna lie, I was tempted. I was like, oh man, that sounds like fun.
Really?
Yeah, because it's so risky.
Oh my goodness. Here we're talking
Yeah.
about being a good person. You're like, I mean, I might.
Yo, hey, I never claimed to be like a good person. Y'all say I'm a good person. That's on y'all. No, but I mean, no, I'm not going to deny like my impulses and my thoughts. You know, I have had those thoughts for sure. Like the time that I was dating that girl that lived with me for a little bit and she went and slept with somebody. Yo, I liked the idea that it's called reclaiming them. I liked that. I enjoyed that aspect to it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. You slept with that person. That sucks. I'm a little upset about it. I was a little aggressive and I took control of the situation and I took them to bed and that was fun for me. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
I love that
I know.
so much.
What? It's a kink. I don't know. It's a fantasy fulfilled. Whatever. It just that's how it is. That's how it goes. You feel so like you won in the end. Like you reclaimed them or whatever. And inherently, it's disgusting. Like because it implies like property and possession and all that of that person, and which I don't agree with. But as like
You partake every once in a while.
yeah, as like a playful, non-serious, not so serious, like dynamic, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you're not like doing that and that's your like the way you actually live your life, because that can be toxic and abusive.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's that, there's.
Also, we had mentioned this in like a previous attempt to record this, but disclaimer, we are not the knowledge on polyamorous relationships.
Oh yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, don't reference us to like how to go about these things because.
Please do some research. We're just talking about our experience.
Yeah, this episode is not for educational purposes. We are merely sharing our experiences.
Yes, and what we went through and what it's like for us. It is not like this for everyone. Like it may be common for other people. Definitely, if you relate to this, fantastic. But there are others doing it well. There are others doing it worse.
Yeah.
So.
This is just how we choose to do it, Yeah. Yeah, but I think it covers a good
It's a good amount of it.
amount of it. Yeah. I don't know if we've left much out.
What we're going through now, I guess. But
I mean, we're still just
that is its own thing.
We're just continuing to try to meet people to hook up with, have fun times with. But yeah, it's hard. We don't have time and we don't really, once we tell people like what our intentions are, they kind of just drop off. They're just like, okay, well, that's not what we're really looking for. They want connections and stuff. And it's like, yeah, we get it. Okay, bye.
Hit me up when you're ovulating. So
Hit me up when you're horny. Then we can just like get it out of the way. Boom.
yeah. Perfect.
Real quick, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Like I like promiscuous folks. I do. I enjoy that. I like knowing that they're that way, Which is one thing I liked about you. I was like, oh, she's slutty. That's cool.
Yeah, that was so much fun on our first date talking about how like that was what we were both into.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that also has a little bit to do with like what I had experienced with that one partner back in El Paso. I was just like, oh, that means she's like getting around. Like I don't know, for whatever reason, I find that hot. Just how it is.
That's just the way
I think
it
because
goes.
that tells me like, oh, you're down. That's all it comes down to. It's like, cool, I'm down too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny. We're weird creatures. We're weird, finicky creatures. But
So tell us about your style.
If you want.
Ask us questions about
Yeah.
our relationship if you're into learning
Yeah.
more, or if you're just curious about things that we're talking about, or
Yeah.
curious about anything
That's
that we
cool, too.
didn't touch on.
I really hope we get people on here that are willing to talk about their experiences with
Oh my
that sort
gosh,
of lifestyle or
yes,
whatever. That'd be
yes.
fun. Those would be fun episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We may have to ask those questions too.
Yeah,
Well,
if
ask
people
them
are willing.
if we're
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it.
Because we really want to discuss all aspects of life that make it rough out here. Yeah. But okay.
So
Like,
subscribe, share,
and
tell people about us, please.
big stuff coming. We are getting on all podcast casting platforms.
Yeah.
Finally, we're working on that. It's a little bit of a slow process, but we're on Spotify now.
Yeah.
We're getting there. You know, we're trying to get on Apple. And what are some of the other ones?
Amazon, iHeartRadio.
Whew.
Oh, there's so many.
It's so exciting for us.
Yeah.
I'm excited about
Yeah.
that, but I don't know.
Because it's like out there. It's
hopefully,
like really out there.
hopefully we can reach a larger audience, you know, and just get a bunch of people on here that want to talk about life, talk about what the struggle is for them, you know.
Yeah, what's it like?
It's
what
hard.
you going through?
Because it's fucking hard out here. That was terrible. Oh my God. On that note, we're out. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.